I think it's been crazy for everyone, um, in general, right? Like it's just that crazy time of year. Um, but like in this area, this last year has been um, almost like a reckoning. So I'll be called like the year of the reckoning because, like, at least from what I'm seeing, like a lot of the lies and nonsense the last 2 years have just unfolded. Um, and people aren't getting mad. It's just like a subtle disappointment in like any leader, any billionaire. And I think it's the best thing possible for our society. Like, no longer worshiping the billionaires, no longer thinking, oh, these people in charge are so smart. Oh, they're dumber than me. Like, this is like one of the best attitudes. I'm seeing it in my students. So it's crazy, but it's been pretty good here. I mean, the holidays were wild, like just with the amount of people shopping and whatnot.
Hmm.
But so,
I mean, it's
um,
one good time of the year finally. Like you have the Christmas, the New Year, the winters, the snow. I think snow has that calming effect. I don't know why all the poets and authors make the sunset to be the most the sunrise and the summers to be the beautiful part of the day. Like I read some poems which have like representations of chilly winters as something negative. I personally love the winters and the holidays.
I think some people get seasonal affective disorder. I think that's what it's caused. And it's basically it's not getting enough sunlight.
Oh,
And you get sunlight in the winter. Um, I like the winter too. It's just I think some people use that as an excuse for something else causing them to be sad or something.
I'm getting
Um,
so tired of so many mental disorders. Like I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just can't keep up with it anymore.
yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because we now just because I teach psychology, we know so much now. I mean, we still have a lot more to know,
Mm.
but at the same time, I think you have to be very careful announcing anything new because then you're going to have 10% of people go, "Oh, I have that," and and give me this medication. Oh, I can't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
we are
you
already
know,
seeing people abusing this system with the service dogs and therapy dogs and whatnot. Like I like that idea. See, I get it. You like dog. Your dog is trained. I am scared of dogs. So you see how that is a conflict of interest right there.
ooh, I got a frightening dog story for you.
Something happened at
So
your school?
not at my school, in my neighborhood. So, Florida, we don't have snow.
Yeah.
Um, but like it's like 60 degrees and I am freezing. That's Floridians, okay? But like other people like 60, really? That's nice. I'm like, that's cold. I'm wearing a jacket in my house. Um, so anyways, we have coyotes like in Florida,
Hmm.
and they're not really supposed to be here. The reason they were able to come in here was Florida used to have something called a red wolf, and it's nearly extinct because in 1850, when you only had the old crackers, like Florida crackers living, that's what they were
Okay,
called.
so you hunted them all.
Basically, it's a real sad story where this little girl, like she was like 15, everyone liked her in this little town. She had a bright future, smart, and she was killed by a pack of red wolves.
Hmm.
And apparently, every Floridian within like 10 miles got their guns and went on like a week-long hunt. And we wiped them out in like 2 weeks. It's astonishing yet tragic, like the anger. But so coyotes came in, and I don't have a dog right now, but my buddy has a pit bull. Do you have pit
Oh,
bulls in India?
yes, they are very restricted in private societies, but as long as it is not a Dogo Argentino, you can have dogs. Like India is much more dog friendly than most other countries that I know of.
So, well, in the south of America, the southeast, there's a sort of a bad part of our culture is dog fighting, where and it's mainly the African American community.
Hmm,
I've been to one and it's just like horrific.
hmm.
Um, like I just wanted to see what it was, and it was like horrifying. Um, So they get these gigantic like pit bulls, all muscular, and in Miami they're illegal. The cops have the right to shoot them on sight. There's been so many attacks on kids, but I'm getting off my point. So my buddy has a pit bull, and it's a sweetheart. Like it's how you raise them. If you raise them to be aggressive at all, you got yourself a monster. But if you baby it, always feed it, he has kids and is great with it. Like he's just, the girl puts makeup on it. Um, but one day the dog came back and he was like scarred up
Okay.
and like he was attacked. And we were like, all right, what the hell did this?
Hmm.
And he had blood all over his face. I'm like, hopefully he didn't kill someone. Right. So my buddy, he lives by these like a small patch of woods. We sort of follow the blood back, and there was about 7 dead coyotes
Oh,
that the pit bull took out, or like either they attacked him or he saw them, and I just thought, man, pit bulls are dangerous. like not like
they are
that dog would,
powerful. They're very powerful dogs.
or else like maybe the coyotes hunted him and they just picked the wrong animal to mess with. Because then coming back and seeing him, I'm like, he's still not that bad. It's like 7-on-1. But anyways, there's a dog story to make you a little more scared of dogs. Yes.
I like there is a German Shepherd in like he lives I think 1 block away from my house, and it's actually in the way of me going to the market. And so
Oh no.
I love running. Like that is just one of those things. I like running and walking.
Yeah.
Excuse me, just one of my friends just joined. She will also be in this meet. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Pretty fine.
All right. All right. Malay always bringing his friends along. I like it.
Yeah, I just try to bring as many of my friends as I can. Like I
Hey.
love introducing you to my friends.
Yo, no problem, man. I think this is a really cool thing, man. Like talking to someone across the world and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean
One
it's
of the
I try to have some female perspective on the things that we talk about, because like I get it, one adult male and a teenager discussing issues of the world, like it can get pretty one-sided.
yes, I can be very one-sided, unintentional. So
So
not intentional. Um.
so as I was telling
So,
about the dog, yeah, I like it's
so
not enough
does
that
it
I'm scared of him. Yeah, yeah, go on.
does it attack you?
No, it's actually bound. Like it's always bound by its collar, but it barks a lot, like a lot. It barks so
So,
much that I can hear him barking over my headphones.
oh wow,
You know how it is. Like we are teenagers. We
yeah.
have our headphones on all the time. So I'm just jogging. I have my AirPods in.
I think
I'm
that's everyone now.
and like I'm trying to run for it, and every time I cross that house, I run a lot faster, because you can't outrun a pit bull. Sorry, a German Shepherd. Like they have a German Shepherd. You can't outrun those animals. They go 0 to 40 in like 6 seconds.
Yeah,
No human can do that.
yeah. So in India, in America, most people just have dogs as pets. They used to have them a lot more for like protection, but I've seen that a little bit less. Like in India, what do you think is like? Is it more for protection or is it just like pets?
Mostly as pets. We don't use protection. Like we just carry a stick, or mostly females use pepper sprays. Like dogs are not for security reasons as much as they are for expanding the family and like keeping at pets. Like India is just as friendly to dogs as they are to cows, so they roam around in the street freely. Most of the pet dogs are kept on leashes, but many times I've seen the stray dogs as well as the pet dogs. They are well taken care of in societies. People would often give them food, and like they'll love them. They'll teach them even tricks sometimes. So as long as you have children, like as long as you have small children in a colony, there is life. And what I mean by that is whether they be street dogs or cows, like the children love them. They'll feed them. They'll play with them. So in that context, we are very good. But for people like me, like I get it. I'm all for life. I try to be as liberal as possible. But when I have certain traumas or some incident where I do not like an animal, I would much rather have them removed from society, but it is fine. Like as long as it's not attacking me, I'm fine by the presence of dogs.
Yeah, you made that India sound very nice right there. We just have animals everywhere, and everyone's happy with the animals.
I mean,
Um,
we are more friendly to dogs at this point than we are to religious minorities. Like that's
woo!
shots fired.
In my
Yeah.
defense, I would like to say I like dogs more than babies.
Fair enough.
Just casual woke feminism, just slipping it in.
Well, babies cry all the time, right? Um, but it's just joking. Now, do you think that's like a Indian thing, like, or not Indian, a Hindu sort of thing to like be nicer to animals?
Yes, it is
My
actually.
very brief understanding of the religion.
Yes, in some of our books, which dictates how an ideal Hindu should live. So, like, I recently got into cooking. So, like, I love cooking. So, I recently got into it, and I was reading some old documentation about some Hindu philosophy of
Like,
cooking.
I just thought you said cocaine, so you said cooking and not cocaine. So
No, despite the rampant availability of hard narcotics in the country, I I do not consume any intoxicant as of now.
yeah,
Just
yes, don't.
just teenage things into meal making, into cooking. So what the Hindu way of cooking and kitchen, basically in the Indian way of kitchen, dictates that the first chapati that you cook, the chapati is a stable, right? It's our bread basically. So the first bread
Okay.
that you cook in the house belongs to God. The second bread belongs to the cow. The third belongs to you, and the fourth belongs to a dog. So
Huh.
that's how it is structured, because stray dogs have always been part of the Indian culture. Dogs or shepherds, basically, they would help keep the cattle in control. They would guard the cattle in the grazing farmlands. So that's why dogs and cows have a traditional symbolism in Hindu way of kitchen making and food distribution.
Fascinating. So, what do you do with the bread after that? Like, it's for the dog. Do you give it to the dog, or like for the
Yeah,
cow?
like it is said
Like,
that we should follow like this, but I don't think 99% of Hindus who are doing cooking like this follow. Like, it's we are living in metro cities now. In your apartments, we have induction cooking. Like, cooking has become so evolved over the years. We don't even
yeah,
need the dough anymore. Like, everything is automated. But sometimes what happens that if you have some leftover food, many Indians would often eat freshly made food rather than something out of the refrigerator, because most Indian households do not like when their food is microwaved. Like, we either like it cold or we like it fresh. We do not microwave the food. So many times when the
it,
food is left, we keep it outside our homes in some. We have these concrete bowls where we keep the food and the water for birds and animals. So they consume it off those bowls.
oh, very cool. There's people that way in America, and I recommend to my students to avoid cooking microwaving anything in plastic because you get micro. I'm forgetting what it's called, but
The
some plastic.
Teflon, I think it's Teflon or what?
Yeah, it's not good for you. But if it's like in a glass or ceramic bowl, you're microwaving something. Because I used to be paranoid about this, like until I found out what it was, like what it does, like the microwave. All it does is take water out of it. It cooks it through this induction sort of boiling. Um, and so that's not bad for the food. It may not make it taste that great, but it's not like making it toxic or anything, unless you cook it in plastic. So like a frozen food.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was told by this nutritionist to avoid that. But so it's just how you sort of use the microwave. I've learned to like it a little bit more when I cook. But yeah, some things in it, like pizza, it destroys, I think. Like
Like,
I'm
it
very
dehydrates the pizza. I mean, the cheese becomes bad, the toppings become dry, and the crust
yeah,
becomes soggy.
pizza needs to be in an oven. If you got an oven, big oven, it doesn't matter, and it's so good.
I mean, like,
So
in India, the only good pizza, according to me, like, I have tasted over 150 pizzas at this point, and the only good pizza that I can find in India is the one from Domino's.
really,
I mean, I have tried Pizza Hut. They suck. They suck so bad. And I've tried all the local vendors in my city and some different cities, even like some. I've tried eating pizza in some of the finest so-called hotels, and they suck. They don't
Yeah,
understand the fight between New York and Chicago. Like if you don't understand the fight between New York and Chicago, you don't understand pizza.
yeah, you're right. You're right. There is another type. It's called Detroit pizza.
Okay.
And what it is, it's a square. It's like Chicago, but in a square with more bread instead of like the heavy tomato and like almost like lasagna type setup to the Chicago deep dish. But it was for the Ford auto workers way back
But
in like the early 1900s, and they would make it really thick bread for like I guess the carbs to fuel them through the day on the assembly line. It's it's called Jets. I don't know if it's over in India. It's a franchise, but it's pretty good. It depends, like if you like it or not. That much
well,
bread.
like as soon as I heard Detroit, I should have thought something about cars was coming up. Like
Oh yeah.
like like
Um,
besides cars, I've seen that meme every place. Like, you can't have shit in Detroit, and I agree. Every time I think of
uh,
Detroit, I think of Transformers, like just cars and cars and cars.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's not really like that anymore. Um,
Oh,
it's a very every election cycle they say they're going to rebuild it because they let one plant go to Mexico, another plant was in China, but we're moving all of our business out of China right now. It's pretty
uh,
fascinating. Apple's going to leave soon, so this is going to have some effects on the world. But the zero COVID thing and having too much trust over there to make vital supplies,
yeah, I,
find
I
these
don't think it
people.
was trust as much as it was, I think, just a reliance. Like it happened gradually over time. So people did not
Yeah.
actually realize how much they depend on China for their supplies. Like because like it happened very gradually.
Mm-hmm. Um, so I think that could help bring back Detroit if they can snag a company returning, because they would get so much tax incentives from the government who's desperate to like because they feel so bad.
Yeah, I
But
think just two factors. Like one, obviously, like you mentioned, China plus one. Like people moving out of China, and I think since everybody has tried going into the white collar jobs in the past 10 years or so, the like we mentioned last time, blue collar jobs have gained demand as well as a lot of economic benefits have also occurred. So these two factors, like the rise of economics in blue collar jobs plus the shifting of manufacturing from China, I think this will result in the revival of manufacturing based industrialization in all of the countries that we currently seem relevant.
I think, yeah, I think it's going to be a diverse approach where they build factories sort of spread out. Um, and, you know, I think India is going to benefit. Colombia is a country no one talks about, but they have all that infrastructure built by cocaine, basically. Uh, but they have an educated population, and unfortunately, you can. I read a book about this. You can predict where these companies are going to go based on their wages of the people that live in that country. And Colombia has one of the highest education rates and one of the lowest labor costs. So it's just like this guy, the book I read, the guy was like sort of predicting that in the 2030s, Colombia is going to
I mean,
start really industrializing.
yeah, all we
Uh,
need right now is uh, like apart from these two factors, we need English speaking populations and skilled workers at a low cost, and maybe some capitalist leader who does not want to socialize the natural resources of the country. If these three conditions are met, I think every country is looking at a win right there, like including India, including Germany, including France, including US.
so why would that be bad if they socialize the resources?
I mean, like if we look at it historically, every single country that has tried to socialize the natural resources of a country has either created problems of differently administrative areas inside those areas which have abundance of natural resources, or it has created a significant level of bureaucratic as well as systemic corruption
I
bec-
completely agree.
because of
I'll
the
just say, yeah, you're absolutely right. Happens in America when we do it. Um,
I think socialization or uh, public ownership is just a blanket to cover up whatever corruption these powerful individuals who are legislative heads, those who are in charge of legislation or executive branches of the government, all the corruption that these guys do is covered under the blanket of public service. That is what it is right now at this point of time.
yeah, and I don't know if you can ever. I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, in America, our corruption has gone underground. They're very good at hiding it. Um, but we have this congresswoman named Elizabeth Warren,
Heard of her?
and she's probably one of the most powerful people in Washington because she controls this thing called I think it's the Congressional Management Office, and they're the actual thing that does America. It gets no credit. It's all people, bureaucrats in suits and stuff. No one knows who anyone is, or like there. It's not secretive. You can like probably walk right up there and say hello. But they're the ones like giving money to Lockheed Martin for missiles and like everything. And I lost my train of thought. So
You were telling me how these people like do corruption and control all of America. Elizabeth Warren.
So right now she's not corrupt, but she didn't have the power to go after the corruption because of lobbying. That's why I called this is the year of the reckoning, because she is now. Because inflation went up, our economy tanked, and that's when the tide goes low. You get to see everything, and the tide went low, and you see all these corrupt people. Have you heard of that Sam Bankman-Fried guy?
I think I've heard the name. I don't exactly know what he did.
It's the biggest scam in
I
history.
think it's the FTX guy. Are you talking about the FTX guy?
Yes, SBF.
What is happening to my memory? Yeah. Oh my God, the entire crypto market.
I said his full name. I said his full name instead of SBF.
Okay.
That's the most insane story. Like the more you look into it.
that is equivalent of the 2007-8 stock market crash, Wall Street crash, if you recall that. I think it's
yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
I mean, the entire digital economy tanked in one night. I've never seen a graph go down so bad.
Well, he was pocketing them. Like the reason that happened was, it was a cryptocurrency exchange. So if you put your money into it, he then had a back door where he would take all of that out and just say, you have these tokens. And then he would use like money and give it to the Democrats and Republicans. He was trying to buy his way out. But in America, the politicians will take your money, but they won't fulfill the other side of the blackmail. They will stab you in the back so quick, and that's what they did to him. Threw him right into prison. Like it's like, thank you for your money. See,
I don't think a lot of politicians have still understood how cryptocurrency works. I still have my doubts. They don't know how cryptocurrency works.
Yeah, and I think that's how he got away with what he did. But he tricked a lot of hedge funds. He was a good scam artist. And
that guy, I think a lot of Indians are mad at him because recently, I think 7-8 months ago, I think 6 months ago, the Indian government made a silly announcement. Like it was official paperwork which said that cryptocurrencies will be taxed, transactions in cryptos will be taxed, income in cryptos will be taxed, but crypto is still not a legal tender in India. So since crypto was not a legal tender, a lot of Indians would invest in crypto and they would use offshore accounts or do some financial wizardry to get away with taxes. But this guy made sure that every single Indian because like when you don't have a lot of population that understands how crypto works, those who do, like they are all in crypto. They will tell every single person, like no matter if you're sleeping, waking up, sitting, eating, they will come up to you and they'll start telling about blockchain, about decentralized currency, about this, about that. And those guys are the most upset right now.
Well, yeah, if they had all their money in it, ooh. Like I got caught up in it too a little bit, but luckily not very much at all, but it went way down. Like I just sold out the rest of mine. Like I just had a little bit left yesterday. I literally did that yesterday, just because I think Bitcoin's going to stay around because gangsters use it for money laundering.
I think it what drives the darknet. Like,
Yeah, so it has that use.
Ethereum is also going to be there because Ethereum is that midway
Yeah.
between legitimacy and anonymity. So that
Yeah,
midway. Dogecoin will probably tank because it was a meme. This
I think a lot of them are dead. You know, they're
Yeah,
going to die.
they're
It's just
gonna die.
Ethereum and Bitcoin are going to.
I think India
Yeah.
in this regard, I think the United Payment Interface, the UPI, I think that has revolutionized India. Finally, I can say that as an Indian, I am so proud of the technology that we have created. This is exclusively for India right now, but pretty sure we are going to take it global pretty soon, and it is revolutionary. You will love it.
Oh, okay. I just looked it up. The Unified Payments Interface. So is it
UPI.
like you go on your phone?
Yeah. This
And you
has
just,
made
like-
payments so easy. Like every single person has their own QR code which links to their UPI account, and if you're a vendor, if you're a businessman, you can just put that QR code in front of your shop or your truck, or you can just paste it anywhere, and person can just scan your QR code, make the payment, snap, instantly, transaction done.
Wow.
No
Yeah,
charges.
yeah, y'all are more ahead than us. Like people still use checks here. I still use my card just because I'm so used to it.
Yeah, like I
Like,
also sometimes use card, but like for card you have to like firstly enter the pin code and all. And in India,
yeah,
your credit card is much more safer than in the US, and so is your debit card. Debit and credit card have much more safety features in India than in US. Like, and that Wi-Fi thing, like where you have your Wi-Fi enabled card which you just tap and remove, a lot of Indians have turned that off because of issues related to scam.
yeah. There's a lot of scams. Yeah, you're right with those in this area. And I have a weird theory that the reason we don't fix this because we could easily do something like that, right? Like not easy, but you know what I mean. We could like copy y'all, and just make a similar program.
Hmm.
And the reason we don't is we have a massive prison system, and beds aren't going to fill themselves. So the more people scam, the more people get arrested. That sounds dark, but
I think the private prison is also one of the highest paying lobbyists, the private prison owners, because prisons are very profitable businesses.
it is. I'm happy with DeSantis. With how he's
Speaking of DeSantis, that stunt he pulled, I'm amazed. Like, did he like flew some immigrants to some other state? What was that all about?
Okay, so DeSantis. Now this is me not endorsing him, saying, "Oh, I love him."
No, I love him as an
But
Indian. He has my vote. I love him.
He's a character. Well, all right. So the reason I like him is and I'm usually a Democrat. The guy he ran against, the Democrat, was governor before in Florida, and he lowered teacher pay and cut our pension. DeSantis gave us the biggest raise we've ever got in history and restored the pension. And the other guy's trying to say that he was the education candidate. It's like, no, you're not. What are you doing? What are you saying? So DeSantis is nearly genius level politician. Like Nixon, President Nixon was like this. Everyone wants to compare him to Trump. He's not Trump. Trump was his ego and a pretty funny guy and a force of nature, good and bad. But with DeSantis, he's calculated and he knows how to get under people's skin and do these sort of things. Like they try to get him for human trafficking, and it's
not human trafficking. This is what liberals wanted. You wanted open immigration. Here, have it in your state. Why should Florida and Texas have all the illegal immigrants? You guys have it.
The Biden administration does that as well. That's what they do it because that's how they disperse the immigrants. So he goes, well, I guess so then he had his attorney general try to press charges on the president. So it got it's just so all right. So what he did was the immigrants were in Texas, and the Texas governor, and I have a cousin in Texas, and he was saying it's becoming it's becoming a crisis. Like all of the homeless shelters were overwhelmed. The Red Cross was there trying to give food to these people. These are people fleeing from Venezuela, which is just horrific. Central America, which is horrific. And I'm not against immigrants. We have a lot of jobs open in America, and they do the jobs that not a lot of people want to do. And despite the narrative, they don't ever really break the law or anything.
They are less likely to get involved in criminal activity.
If they do,
yeah,
we pretty much strap them to a rocket and shoot them back to the.
like I think ICE is more feared than FBI at this point in US, among immigrants at least.
Yeah. So these immigrants, so they're in these Texas towns. You know, it's a logistic nightmare. So the governor was like, listen, I'm going to start sending them to everyone if someone doesn't help me. And DeSantis and him are buddies. And so he goes, how about I send a couple, a plane over or whatever.
Hold my car keys.
Yeah. And he picked up, I forget how many. Then they flew to Florida because there was something legally to like make it legal. They had to fly to Florida. And then he sent them to Martha's Vineyard because he about their welfare and how Martha's Vineyard, which is like the richest part of the country, has so many resources that we're just overwhelmed and we don't have. So, he's being nice by sending them there.
I mean, you wanted more immigrants. You wanted more diversity. You wanted immigrants. Here, have them.
And it was a trap he set. This is why he's just a character. Because within like the first 3 hours, they were sent off the island to a military base. So the residents did not even want to see him, right? They were like the untouchables. They're like, oh my God, get them out of here. And then saying, oh, we love them so much. It's like, no.
We love them. We love them if they are part of the woke Hollywood culture. If they were represented in She-Hulk, then we will accept them. If you are a part of the Marvel universe, then you are acceptable.
There's something in America that neither party sort of talks about. It's called NIMBY.
Not in my backyard.
Yes, and that's what he was exploiting.
I think sorry to interrupt you. I think my arrogance towards Indian system has led me to understand the US system so well now. I'm so involved. Like the moment you said NIMBY, it's like, oh, this I know. Not in my backyard.
I mean, yeah, there's similar governments, and I think the world economy is struggling right now, and you're getting issues like that. Yeah, they were gonna do this housing project up by where I live, and oh man, these people that never leave their house, these old 80-year-olds, just migrated and just harassed this politician who quickly just left. He didn't finish his speech. These old 80-year-old ladies were booing him and hissing at him. It was like I wish I would have took a video of it. It was funny.
I think Indians should learn how to protest from Americans. You guys know how to protest.
Yeah, there's two types of protest. There's the nice ones, and then there's the riot ones. The riot ones aren't fun because I've been in one.
I think the right ones are better left off to the Indians because of what they did during the Mahatma Gandhi's birthday.
So, do you have a lot of protests in Uttar Pradesh?
Yes, we do actually, because the current chief minister, Mr. Yogi Adityanath, I think he's kind of like DeSantis. He is a hardline right-wing Hindu sort of authoritarian chief minister. Some things have improved in his tenure, those being law and order. Police encounters have skyrocketed. So, do you remember the broken window experiment of New York?
Yes, I do.
Regular checks on minorities, strict actions, shootouts, very common.
Oh, so yes, the broken window thing led to the policy was stop and frisk, because I saw him do it in New York. And it was me and my brother, and we drank too much. So we were like, ugh. And then there's just a black dude doing nothing, and two cops plain clothes. We didn't even know they were cops. We were obviously drunk, and then just like walked towards us. I'm like, what's happening? And then they just grabbed this black dude and started searching him, and he had like a little bit on him, and boom, arrested, gone. It was, but it also lowered the murder rate in New York tremendously.
If it works,
So,
it's fine.
you know, so I have mixed feelings about it, right? Like,
I mean,
because some people, huh?
like in UP, crimes against, like, not crimes, but I think suspicion or a sense of skepticism against the minority has increased significantly in the last 2 months because of two very, very, very horrifying and disturbing cases that have come up in India, which were criminal in nature. And in both the cases, the criminal was a person of the said particular community. He was Muslim, basically, and the victim of those crimes
Yeah.
were Hindu. So whenever these crimes come up, they stir up the
Oh.
entire nation. And these were horrific crimes, psychological, like, some
Torture?
there was a couple living in a, like, they were a live-in relationship. They were doing live-in relationship and whatnot. So this Muslim boyfriend, roommate guy, he kills the girl, chops her body into 50 or so parts, keeps her body in his refrigerator. In the same refrigerator, he keeps his food, and then throws the body parts out one by one in different localities, all at the same time, using the girlfriend's smartphone to text her friends and keep in touch with the family so that nobody gets suspicious.
Sounds like a psychopath, like a literal one.
Yeah,
like
this
no
is,
empathy. That's a psycho.
yeah,
That's
and the worst part is he confessed that he used to watch Dexter, that Netflix show, and he learned from Dexter how to dispose of the body and how to cut and whatnot.
That's awful. But we got awful stuff here. I'll show you what happened
Yeah.
close to my place.
Definitely.
Well, did you hear about the Idaho murders?
8 people or what? Like, I don't exactly remember the context.
So, Idaho, the state.
Yeah, I know. Hope is a town in Idaho. I know. Idaho.
So yeah, there was 4 murders that they still can't solve. It's an interesting case that you like look into it, but I'm about to show you something way worse that happened probably a mile away. Here we go. So let me share my screen.
Definitely. Okay, I can see.
So that happened.
Okay.
Miles from me. So
I think.
I mean, I thought we should have had a riot over this guy, but so if you go down, 36-year-old Orlando man, same town I was born in. He was having sex with a dog.
Yeah.
And then he did it in front of kids, by the way. And anyway, so
I think this Idaho is the Maharashtra of USA. You know about Maharashtra? Have you heard the name?
no.
It's the state in India in which Mumbai, the city Mumbai, is
Oh, okay,
the part
yeah.
of Maharashtra. And in Maharashtra, there are, like, I'll show you, like you did. I think that is a much better way to convey what I'm trying to
So
say. I think
yeah,
something
like
very
this
similar
guy.
happened.
Yeah, this guy apparently did it with a dog in front of kids and a dad who then chased the guy. And the guy went into a Presbyterian Christian church and started kicking the baby Jesus out of the nativity scene. And then he was naked, by the way, and a cop then caught him and tackled him because he was really high on meth, apparently. So
Yeah.
that's like the Florida story. Whoa. you might win.
Uh, like
How do they do that? How does that work?
I mean, I didn't even want to ask questions anymore at this point.
A Komodo dragon? Like that
Yeah,
thing will bite you.
it's venomous.
And the rest. Oh, I can't wait to show some people this.
A video of the
Just because it's funny.
sorry.
I'm going to share this with my friends just because it's so bizarre.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Like,
just type any animal's name and any state's name in front of the in the Google search bar and just search for India and you'll see.
monitor lizard.
Yeah, why not?
So that has to be a specific mental, like a real specific mental illness. Like that's
Yeah, I mean, these guys are scientists of another level, I would say. Like great researchers we've found in the country.
like you can say, "Oh, I'm depressed," this or that, but if you're having sex with animals, that's a mental illness, straight up. You know, there's no hiding. You know,
That's
but it's.
how,
I mean, it goes back to the dawn of man. So
how do you even convict people on these crimes? Like what section of the penal code do you use? What constitution do you?
oh, in Florida, we have a law
Okay.
about bestiality that says you cannot have sex with this animal, this animal, this animal. That like we list in any new animal comes in, we put it on. Like it was a problem back in Florida, I guess, back in the day.
Like I
It's
just
still a problem.
I want to hear the debate of in the meeting. Like, can you imagine the most powerful country in the world, and in that Senate there are selected representatives of the state discussing which animals can we fuck? Like, how do you even have that? Like, these are conversations that 6-year-olds have. I don't
Well,
want my
you
lawmakers
know-
to have this.
Well, you know, the Libertarian Party in America, do you know about them?
Yeah.
The Freedom Party, they'll be like, you should have the constitutional right to have sex with a dog. Who is the government going to interfere with you in your personal property?
Hyper individualism, man.
Yeah, there's something else, man. So like in India, how like does Christmas go? I've always wondered that.
It is celebrated very nicely, and people of all communities, despite their religions, they celebrate Christmas. When my bird celebrates Christmas, and
Oh yeah.
it is celebrated very nicely. We have in every city there are churches, so they are very well lit up. They have distribute food. They have dances. We have rum cake. It is a fantastic festival. However, ever since the BJP administration has taken power since 2014, some hostility has been seen towards other religious celebrations. However, this year, the shit hit the fan when in Gujarat, that is the state where Prime Minister Modi was the former chief minister of for more than 20 years. So that state has heavy influence of right-wing Hindu ideology. Right-wing Hindu ideology, and so a man was dressed as a Santa Claus, and he was walking around there when he was allegedly beaten up, like because yeah, because why not? Like just why not? Do you remember how I was telling you that in India we have a tendency to kill every person that tells us to love each other? I think
You're right. You did tell me that.
yeah,
You're right.
that's just how India is. A man who dresses up as Santa Claus and distributed chocolates beaten up by mob in Gujarat.
He was giving out chocolate. Yeah, that's sad. But I mean, I don't
had
know.
one of his
That's
community members.
strange.
I think what is the
So how are things in your area between y'all and like the Muslims and Christians?
so far it has been great. Like we celebrate every single festival, be it Eid, be it the entire Ramzan, be it Diwali, every single festival we celebrate with passion and with money. So every Hindu festival is about spending money and celebrating. I think Diwali recently went by in October. We had Diwali and it was amazing. Like despite all the COVID numbers, despite all the economic downturn that the country has faced, in Diwali we sold record high numbers of cars. We sold Gold we sold. Like the economy just
Awesome.
went up because of Diwali. It was crazy.
Is that the biggest Hindu holiday?
Kind of, yes. It celebrates the return of Lord Ram to his kingdom of
Okay.
Ayodhya. So people light up diyas, they decorate their houses, they light up candles, they burst crackers. It is the day when highest numbers of crackers are bursted anywhere in the world. We leave behind China's 100-year CCP celebration in terms of volume of crackers bursted in India.
Well, China probably lied about the numbers anyways.
So yeah, and anti-China sentiment also rises every single time on Diwali because the LED lights that we put in our houses, they are sometimes manufactured in China. So every single time there
Ooh,
is Diwali, we boycott all of the Chinese products and go back to our indigenous decorative items. It's a crazy festival, but it's amazing. It's very loud.
yeah.
It's an
There's
Indian
nothing wrong.
festival. It's an Indian festival in every regard. There are colors in the sky. There is fireworks. There is loud crackers. There are children. It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. So how's your school going?
I mean, the college. When you enter second year of college, you start having some realizations that it doesn't matter much until unless you're in the top 10 or top 15 colleges of this country. Even the faculty has like started caring less and less about us. Like it's sometimes it is so lonely in the class. I just feel that the entire corridor is haunted. Like it's nothing. Like no child comes. It's all blank.
It can be like that in America too with colleges. You just have to find, and you may never, but that one, I'm serious. Like that one professor, because I found one at Florida State where I went that will take the time to like talk with you, like for more than 15 minutes, then go, oh, my office hours, bye. Um, because the guy gave me advice about teaching that is still very relevant today. Different tricks you can use instead of yelling. Uh, Basically, it's like manipulative psychology tactics. Um, and he wasn't sort of a stuck up crazy liberal where they talk about how we need to just a bunch of gobbledygook that doesn't make any sense. He was a realist. He was like, all right, do you see any chart? Like he had it down. So I was lucky I met someone like that. But the university system needs to change
Yeah, I mean,
across.
one good thing did happen in the month of October is that I think I became the youngest journalist to win the PD Tandon Award for journalism. Like I won an award for
Hey,
journalistic writing, and like it was a cash award, and it was a huge event where like some of the most prominent members of the news community and the print media community were present, and we had this buffet afterwards. It was an amazing event. I loved that event and that celebration. So that
so
one
what was
good
the
thing
award
happened.
called?
The PD Tandon Award. PD Tandon was an Indian journalist, so the award is named after him. And the best part is, I got featured in a lot of newspapers after that incident.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah, so
So obviously your path is unfolding in front of you, right? Like if you're getting like awards and stuff, you know.
I'm getting a
So
more
just
clear. Yeah,
good luck.
I'm getting a much more clear picture of why I'm in this course and what should I do. Like these are the two most important questions every teenager asks. Like who am I and what do I do? So I'm starting to get a much better and much clearer picture of both these questions now.
As you get older, that happens. And you ever go into like a bookstore,
Sometimes yes.
you see all those books. There's about 90% of them are awful, bad, stupid, silly books to read.
Hmm,
Anyone can write a book, is my
hmm.
point. And or write articles. You're getting awards, it means you're good. But I think a lot of times people won't take that next step because of negative self-talk. Like, oh, I'm not good enough. So, just overcome that and think, well, those idiots wrote a book or wrote a, why can't I? I can write, that I had a good, the psychologist I know told me that. And I just thought, oh, that's a great little statement,
Yeah, like
So,
if they can do it with the least possible effort and still manage to get readers, like
yes,
like
you know, and I have read your writing; it's very good.
thank you so much.
So just, I guess the next step would be just to keep grinding and then maybe figure out. I think you told me what you want to do with the writing is investigation, right?
Yeah, investigative writing, but in a humorous way, like something like what John Oliver does.
That's right. Now, do you want to be on broadcast or written?
I would much rather stick to print because like I'm not a camera person, nor am I a person who's like I can obviously communicate well with you. Like I am a person who does not abide by censorship at all. Like we recently had a visit to one of our radio stations. Like our university is so privileged that we have our own radio station in our university itself. So we
No,
were having some trial runs and whatnot. We were just having fun, and the people who are in charge of that, they were calling out students individually. They wanted to try something, and like I was like when they told us what radio was all about and what the rules and regulations were in India, and I was like, this is not a job for me. I cannot do with this level of censorship. I am a person who likes to speak his mind without change. Like the thing with television and with radio, both are the thing is common that you have to always be smiling, you have to always look in a certain way, and you have so many regulations that you have to give positive news or fake news to a point. You have to pretend somebody you're not. I'm not that person. I want that rawness with my audience if I'm connecting with somebody.
and I think that's the right. And who knows? We could always, predicting the future is hard, but I think
People are
that's
in
the.
people are in bubbles and everybody's happy in their own bubble. I don't want to disturb that. Like if you are like listening to something, go on. Not my audience. My audience is separate, so I'll much rather cater
I
to
think
that.
with your generation and even mine, the millennials, we trust less in those broadcasts than we do independent voices. That's a big movement in America right now, and I can see it spreading. Like, have you heard of Substack? I'm sure you have.
Sure.
Or no?
Not
Have you heard of
not
Substack?
in detail, but like I know about it.
So all that is, it's free, and you put your essays or your articles on it, and then if people they can view like 10 of them for free, but if they like start reading it, then they'll pay $10 a month, maybe more, maybe less.
Yeah, subscription based paywall. Yeah, get it.
Yeah, and several really good. I would say the best journalists in America are all on it. Matt Taibbi, he's doing the Twitter files right now with Elon. Glenn Greenwald, he's the Julian Assange reporter.
Yeah.
The guys that aren't on mainstream, and I think they have the most respect.
Yeah, and I think print still has that credibility. Like print has that feeling of credibility and reliability when compared to television or like social media, especially. Print is highly, highly, highly credible and reputed.
Yeah. And you can be funny in a different way on
Yeah,
print.
that sarcasm hits differently. Yeah, speaking of journalists, what's about Jon Stewart running for president? Is that true?
I don't think it's true. We're in a weird psychosis in America right now where after Trump, I call it the Trump derangement. Both sides are demented from it. Where basically the Democrats have no one on the bench. The people they have is Kamala. She laughs like a Jekyll, hyena. She can't talk. She used to imprison a bunch of black people in California. So she's not some civil rights icon. If anything, she really hurt her own community. Then there's Pete Buttigieg, who completely has failed as the transportation secretary. And he, there's a weird conspiracy theory that he's not actually gay. He's only doing it.
But he has been marketing it so much, like that is all he has. If that is false, then he has nothing.
So there's not really a Democrat I know of, and someone can come out of nowhere. Clinton did at one point, but I think that's what they're doing is they're grasping for straws and going, well, Jon Stewart's funny on TV. He can be like the Trump, instead of looking deep to find a good young person, which does probably exist. Because the Republican bench is thick. They got DeSantis at the top, Texas guy. There's like sevegoing more.
Even if Donald Trump goes for a rerun, I think there are pretty high chances he will win this time.
He's going to be prevented. Like all the new stuff coming out, they're going to charge him. He is and it's not just the Democrats. the most powerful court in America is the Southern District of New York.
Okay.
For whatever reason, because that's where Wall Street is,
Hmm.
that's where all the financial stuff is. So they don't play politics. I actually really like them because they're a very honest court, but they go after you, and they don't care who you are. They'll go after a president. They'll go after the richest guy or the poorest guy. And they've had Trump in their crosshairs for a while for these real estate scams he pulled in New York. About 2 years before his election, and he's going to. This latest NFT scam thing, in the way DeSantis won in the midterms when all the other Republicans lost so bad, all the Trump Republicans. I just think DeSantis is going to run. I would be so surprised if Trump was even able to run. But I think the Republicans that I know are sort of sick of him right now. Like, you did what you did. Now we want DeSantis. But I'm biased because I'm in Florida, where we all love DeSantis. So
he has done the work. I think DeSantis understood education and patriotism in a way that most other right-wingers were not able to convey rightfully on TV. I think if you are to compare how DeSantis presents himself and how Tucker Carlson presents himself, even the most hardline right-wingers would want to listen to DeSantis more than they would try to listen to Tucker Carlson, for example, because Tucker Carlson is not really a voice of right anymore. Even the right uses him to like mock the right. Like the medium right uses him to mock the alt-right, and the alt-right refuses to acknowledge him as one of their own.
Yeah, because Tucker Carlson's fake. And here's why he's fake. He's a rich New Englander, preppy guy. He likes to say, "Oh, I've worked." He's never worked a day in his life. He's a good propagandist, and he can be fun.
Sometimes I listen to him, like me and my friends. We just turn on.
He's entertaining.
Yeah,
he's entertaining.
We have like we don't drink as in, but like we drink soft drinks and like have some snacks over, and we play this game that every time Tucker Carlson asks a question that a 5-year-old would ask, we drink.
Oh, that's funny.
So, and Tucker Carlson asks all these questions. Is this America? What times are we living in? Every single time he asks one of these questions, which a 5-year-old would ask, we drink. And by the end of the, I think it's a 40-minute episode or so, we are laughing. Like, this is what American journalism is. This is the standard. This is what we aspire to be. Our teachers tell us to look at American journalists. This guy is a journalist.
Not that. No.
No.
Look at Substack and those journalists.
Yeah.
Don't look at Fox News or CNN or CNN is trying to get better. They got bought out.
Yeah.
And they fired like their whole staff. So they're trying to be CNN again, like what they were pre-2016. But even MSNBC is a paid, wing in the Democratic Party.
I just want to let the guys at MSNBC know that not everything is breaking news, guys.
That is true.
There is like not every single story that you get is supposed to be a breaking news. Stop with it already. And like about Fox News, I think I sent you this meme where it said, not to be politically incorrect or something, but Fox News is not about foxes. I mean, I think someday Fox News will have its official tagline changed to President Trump's dick is 17-inch tall. I think that would be their official tagline someday.
Oh yeah. A weird thing that's happening. I don't know if I told you this, but I have a group of like real conservative kids in they eat lunch in my classroom. I have an open door policy. You can come eat lunch in my classroom, whatever. And they come in, and a lot of teachers get upset when they hear right-wing talking points. I go right into it, right? Like, I like to engage, and it's bad to say, don't say that. No, say whatever you're going to say. I'll debate you, whatever. But they watch Indian news. The yellow one, it's yellow, and it's a lady.
Why?
Yeah, she's a lady. She's like, Trump today did blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, oh, that's such a right-wing talking point. What's come India? What? And so that's their news source.
Yeah, we
So
love Trump. I mean, like Indian news media, like we have this inside saying among journalism students is that if someday Prime Minister Modi or President Trump were to drop something toxic on their shoes, a lot of Indian journalists would not wake up the next day because they are such bootlickers.
so
We
it's like, does Modi govern like a Trump?
No, I think very differently. The Prime Minister himself is a very quiet and calculated person. He rarely speaks anything stupid or foolish or ignorant. And the media rarely points him out to be that kind of a man. I think uh, there was a veteran journalist in India. He said, and I quote, like I'm translating, of course. He mentioned that in the US, journalists or like media outlets like the Washington Post count the lies the president has said. If we try to implement something in India like that, if we were to count the lives of the prime minister, the person doing the counting would rather have to count the days he has left to live. That is
So
kind of the nature here.
does the government go after journalists?
It has started to, not directly, they will not. It is not as authoritarian as, let's say, Iran. Uh, I think if you are completely biased towards the government, if you are not backed up by the left lobby, if you're not backed up by the George Soros of like if you're not backed up by those people with the rich
Yeah.
pockets, if you're going directly against the government on unnecessary levels, only then will you be imprisoned or some national security laws will be implied on you. If you're maintaining a balanced approach and are criticizing with sarcasm, I think that makes it very much difficult for government to come at you directly. However, I have my sympathies towards these journalists, but I refuse to agree everything that they say because nothing can be 100% wrong. Yes, there are policies which have resulted in failure, and there are policies which have massive success. So, as a journalist, if you're not reporting something in a balanced way, then there is something wrong with you. That is what my
Yeah.
take is on this. The left just
Yeah.
refuses to acknowledge anything good. Like the left is like, no, no, I do not care about the 100 good things that you've done. I will keep running stories about the 5 bad things, and if you try to censor me, I will claim that you are a right-wing authoritarian. That is not how it works.
Yeah, that's how DeSantis is getting treated at the moment is, but that's why he does those silly tricks that he does is to mess with the journalists. Um, but yeah, no, you got to always keep an open mind, because I think both sides have a tendency to think conspiracy and it's organized. They're doing something when it's just stupidity and incompetence. The reason something went wrong,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
it gets
like
so much
I've
up to that, and not conspiracy.
exactly I've noticed this a lot. Like sometimes when I'm between kids, like who am I calling kids? Like when I'm between people of my group, my young, like my age, and I often try to gaslight both sides at the same time. Like if suppose there is a conversation going about about Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was one of the Mughal rulers in India. So if people are
Say his name again.
Aurangzeb was the last. I think he was not the last. Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last. Aurangzeb was one of the leaders in the Mughal Empire, and it is said allegedly that he was the most violent against Hindus. So he converted a lot of Hindus, probably even murdered them. So I'm not sure about the data. So a lot of modern Hindus today they come up with this point that Aurangzeb was a bad leader. Why do history books glorify him? History books say that he was a very great leader, but I don't believe it. He murdered a lot of Hindus. I would go, yes, yes, you are right. He was such a bad person. You know what he did? He put his finger like this and he made the ozone hole. Then the BJP government came in power in 2014 and they had to fill it up everything manually. Modi ji climbed up and filled it up manually. You don't know how it was. So I try to gaslight the situation and then both the parties keep on fighting. And it becomes a joke in itself at one point. That's how bad it gets. We are obsessed with the past.
Well, I mean, y'all had this religious strife before America was even discovered.
One day
Like
discovered.
like okay, that was very American of me.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
Found or whatever you want to say.
Before Columbus had his little vacation.
Yeah, before it was discovered. Yeah, those people were there, but because we were in
Yes.
India, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, no, India. Like let's make sure that we have more Carlisle barrack schools and let's just assimilate some kids in very very friendly ways, guys. We assimilated some people No kidding. India did the exact same thing with Sikkim, with Lakshadweep Island, with the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and like I think except the North Sentinel Island, a lot of places India has also enforced its culture through brute force only. We are nowhere the saints that we claim to be on global scale. We all have blood on our hands.
Yeah.
Nobody's clean in that regard.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird guilt in America. Like we don't even like to realize like we're the empire right now. Like people like when I teach, I like I'll say that and like kids will be like depressed about it. And I'll be like, you're in a privileged position. Like don't feel bad. You shouldn't be gloating, but don't hate yourself. Right? Like one, didn't control that, but you also get a lot of privileges, because you're complaining about this or that on your iPhone, your your laptop, and these kids are quote unquote disadvantaged. And it's like, are they? Just because their parents aren't making as much as like other Americans, it's
I would say
we
like counting privilege. Like I think counting privilege is something we all take for granted because of this idea that we have in our minds that, oh, everybody's doing great, everybody's doing better, because of this internet reality that since everybody is doing great, you feel that you're not doing great. And when you have that realization, that false realization of not doing enough, then you start blaming too many other things. And I think this is one of the reasons why American kids have so many dilemmas and so many problems related to gender issues and all these mental health issues, is because they are not fighting for something which can be tangibly understood by adults. Like if a kid is crying for food, a food is a tangible thing which can manifest in a physical form, and hence that problem can be solved immediately. There is the problem, there is a solution. But when you're talking about identification of gender rights and things like like don't say gay bills, these are absurd. These are pure nonsense. What more recognition do you want now? If you call yourself a she and I want to make fun of you, I should be allowed to call you a dog, a pig, or a he as well. My freedom of speech.
It's a weird hysteria at the moment that I'm actually seeing sort of die out a little bit. But it's I don't really know what to say about it.
Okay, I'll frame it something personal to you. How many of the kids that you have worked with, who you have found to be woke and at the same time economically disadvantaged? Like, is there a correlation?
None. No. It's all. Here's the weird thing about this weird hysteria, and I'm calling that for a reason because from what I've seen, I sponsored the Gender Sexuality Alliance Club in 2020
you told me.
And I let them meet. I didn't really say much. I was nice. I gave them like cookies and stuff, whatever. But it was really a spy tactic. I wanted to see what was going on. It probably sounds evil, but I just wanted to see, okay, what is this? And it was all girls. Well, whatever, but they were females, and one male, but he, I think, was manipulating his way in to be with the girl. I don't think he was gay. So, if that makes any sense. But it was like 19 females, and they did the name stuff, and they would dye their hair, but half of them would talk about boys. And, so that, not a hysteria, it's like a phase or a movement that's really weird, but they're all well off. If you say any of that to an African-American girl, like one woke term that's come around is called BIPOC. It's Black, Indigenous, Person of Color. And I'm not kidding. And a teacher called this Black girl BIPOC, and the girl flipped out. We had another flip out. She goes, "What'd you call me? Because it sounds racist." And she went to the principal over it, and all the Black kids got mad. And I mean, my principal got me, and we were like talking to him, like, "Listen, the girl didn't know. Don't go like rip her head, because we have a lot of athletes at our school." So
don't call the SRO.
Yeah, they want to fit in. They don't want to be seen as anything. They don't want to be pitied. They don't like the pity. And if you treat them just normal with respect, they will do whatever you want, like in school, they'll like you as a teacher. But as soon as you go, oh, I feel so bad for you, they'll go, what do you mean feel bad for me? I ain't poor. And they'll start getting in your face. So
I mean,
it's
I'm
it's weird.
envious. Yeah, I'm envious of these American kids, but at the same time, I feel like no. Like since I've graduated from school, so right now I feel that yeah, no, I would be much more strict with these kids. But if I was a kid, I would much rather be an American kid because coming like the way I'm hearing these stories, these kids have so much power over the teacher. When I was in school,
Oh,
my teacher could call me whatever they want. They could beat the shit out of me. Nobody would care.
yeah.
And
Well, you're
I
right
still
about
have respect for my teachers because what they
that.
did, it made me who I am.
Yeah, the culture of public school in America, it's interesting because we have a teacher shortage, and it took me a while to learn this, but you have to earn their respect. But once you have it, like I feel like a cult leader. Like, like the word, like they literally put all the worst kids in my class, and they do well for me. Like I have one kid who has a hole in his hand because he got shot by the cops, and um, and he's the nicest kid, at least to me. But this one really jerk assistant principal who is like that mean guy that he'll come in and that kid will stand up and start cussing him out. The cop will come in and I have to diffuse the situation. Like, let's all calm down. If whatever he did wrong on the outside, and I try to like let's talk through this, not start screaming because the kid had such a like has had such a horrific life. He has no parents and like on the streets, and he's smart. And I'm trying to get him into the military, like because then he can climb out of his situation and get a little more discipline that he probably missed growing up, and maybe learn how to deal with authority a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, like people have these I was reading about this paper. It's called ODD or something, obedience defined disorder, something like that.
Yeah, obedient defined. Yes, I know what you're talking
It's
about.
made up.
Yes,
It's
it
made
is.
up.
Yes, it's environment and parenting that causes that.
It's entitlement.
That too.
This is made up. As an Indian,
So
disorder.
narcissism's in that too.
This stuff is made up. Why?
So the way you deal with that as an American teacher is essentially you can't break out your club or anything like that. You have to use psychological embarrassment, and that sounds bad, but I can do it really easily, and and I don't think a lot of teachers over here realize that, like how much power you do have, since you are seen as the authority by the students still, no matter what, and how you can just look at them, and I could turn the whole class on them. I could sort of dice up their flaws because when they act that way, they expose their own flaws.
Oh.
Now, I never try to do that, but sometimes it'll like, I'll lose my temper, not in like an angry way, but in like a technical way. So I try to work on it because I have a big philosophy of not ruining some kid's life. So
you are a great teacher. Like you are trying to find solutions and you're trying to, do these things like conflict de-escalations and diplomatic handling of principal and student. But there is some that Indian inside of me is like, do students have that much ability to act out in school?
It's a society-wide thing. We want these great schools, but at the same time, the parents are in control of the local school boards, and it's just a weird sort of mentality. But if you are well liked, and I would say the last 3 years of my career, I sort of really figured things out and like grew to the next level to where I have a fun class. Kids want to be in it. I can say jokes. I can be inappropriate and say awful things and get away with it. No one reports me. You know, it's just you have to work to get there, because I always wasn't like that. I was mean, really too mean before, then too nice. Because you can't be too nice either, because then it's chaos.
Yeah, I mean, with dealing with teenagers, like as a teenager myself, I think it is one of the hardest things to do. That too, dealing with 25, 30 of them, each coming from their different mindsets. Some people might like one person's attitude, another might completely hate it. And to create a balance in that kind of job, I think American teachers deserve much more recognition and payment than they get right now. I think it's a
Oh, I completely agree with the
like
money part.
even the like the Taliban, like when the US raised the human rights issue of girls' education in Afghanistan, the Taliban responded with, "We will take care of the education of our girls." Meanwhile, why doesn't USA increase the wages of their teachers? The Taliban is schooling the
Yeah.
US on the wages of teachers.
So an important thing to understand, America, is we're just walking contradictions. We'll tell another country, you need to do this. And then they go, well, what about you? Don't worry about us. You need to, that's us all the way. We believe in equality for all, except for slaves, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, but
but you're right. And I think it comes from, again, the parents who do want to raise teachers' pay, but it gets into government bureaucracy.
You mentioned that there was a policy where the grades of the students somewhere decide the bonus or the payment of the teacher. What was that system? If you're getting good grades, then you're getting more pay.
There's a couple things. So in Florida, they tried to increase what they call learning gains through them taking a standardized test every year. And if they show a standardized gain, then you'll get like a little bonus. The problem with that is it showed how racist our system was, because if you taught in a white school, your learning gains went up. Excuse me. If you taught in a diverse school, they were streamlined. And that's because, unfortunately, IQ is fixed and you can only make it go down. You can't, it's really hard to make it go up. And because of the environment the poorer schools have, like the kids have it tougher. So that's why you get that. And if a kid is in pampered rich land whose parents were reading to them when they were young, they have private tutors, they don't understand something, it's less on the teacher and more on the parents. So we're actually starting to get rid of that. But I teach Cambridge psychology, and I get paid for every student that passes that test. So that's okay, because I'm then incentivized to really try to teach that material the best way to get as many of them to pass as possible. And it's not tied to this weird thing of like, and it's based on, they use something they used to, now they're getting rid of it. DeSantis is. They used to use something called the VAM score. It's called the value added measure. And they used it for animal husbandry of cows. So they rated teachers on a scale the same way farmers rate how successful a cow is at reproducing. So yes, that's Florida. So I'll try to find and send you the article. It's, I don't know how it happened, but that came out.
Americans will measure in anything but metric. Like, instead of measuring in metrics, I'll measure it in cow units. I'll not use the metric system, no matter what happens.
Yes. So, and no matter how negative I am, I will say, in America, school is what you make it. And if you really want to work hard, we have the programs to get you to Harvard.
Yeah,
even at my.
Yeah, like besides all the politics and the gun violence and every single thing that I read about online, as an Indian teenager, American high school is one experience that I would love to have. That is just because it America defines the standards. It sets the bar. Like, even the daughter of Xi Jinping studies in, I think, Harvard or someplace. I think in one of the Ivy League universities. So
and the thing is, we don't realize that. That's the weird thing. It's like we don't acknowledge that at all.
We as Asians, for us, US is the bar. Like we, like every single time I'm watching an American high school show or like drama, whatever. Like I remember watching 13 Reasons Why, and I did not buy the entire drama and whatnot because I knew that was story and that was exaggeration. But the way the infrastructure of that school was displayed, I went nuts. That is the best infrastructure I have ever seen. We don't have that level of infrastructure and cleanliness in our malls, and that was a public school. It was amazing to see that depiction.
Yeah, I like to say it's a trophy. It's like the crown jewel of our sort of empire, and we don't appreciate them at all over here. Because, like for example, for hurricanes coming to hit Florida, everyone goes into the schools because those are the most solidly built buildings, and a hurricane can't knock them over. So they're used for multiple things. But like I said, if you want to achieve, you can. Like the Indian students at my school, they're all rock stars. Like seriously, like they're in like advanced physics and they're great kids, very nice. So we also have Vietnamese students, and that's interesting because they fight the black kids. The fights are sort of, I hate to say this, they're fun to watch because it's just two different fighting styles, and they are very entertaining until I have to go break it up. So that probably sounds crazy, but
So I mean, you are a psychology uh, teacher or professor, I guess. So like, what are some markers that you see in males and females that you would advise your own teenage son or daughter of around 15, 16 years old to avoid while looking for a partner to date? Like I'm going to record this section and I'm going to name it psychology professors dating tips for teenagers. So like for any 15, 16, 17, like what is the average age for dating in America? Like first, like answer that.
it depends on your background and like your wealth. Like no matter the race, the younger, if you're poor, you start younger. I don't know why that is,
That should be the other way
but
around.
right, maybe because they have more free time because their parents are working. But the about 14, maybe high school, 15 in America. Some people not until you're 20. Like it depends on your parents still. Um, and right now in America, it's a tough time to date. It really is because we've had such a strong the Me Too movement
Hmm.
To where I do know young males are very scared of approaching girls right now. Because in America, that's
Especially the entire woke culture. I think it has taken away the essence of what a man is supposed to be, and that is why these hooligans like Andrew Tate are getting popular by spreading toxic masculinity, because
yeah,
masculinity has been suppressed so much because of all this wokeness and leftist bullshit that men
yes.
just feel that they can either oblige and be chivalry and be slaves of these white woke women, or they can go the exact opposite way and become somebody like Andrew Tate, who's narcissistic and the prime example of what toxic masculinity is supposed to be.
So my advice would be to find the middle ground, and you probably want to. If you're young in America, there's the hookup culture, there's the Tinder app, and I think that's incredibly toxic and very bad for people mentally because it like drains the soul. Like it's like online pornography. It's not a good thing. It can mess with your brain in not a positive way and give your brain the wrong incentives. And then you won't develop the skills you need to have a successful relationship when you're older. And you'll be promiscuous, and that can then lead to divorce and disaster and a bad life, you know. I think just sort of dating, getting to know people, seeing what personality you mesh with. And it's hard to do now because a lot of guys have social anxiety, but the dating apps, I tell guys if they are scared to make the first move, that is a fear based off anxiety, and there's two ways you can handle it. You can either do exposure therapy, where you constantly go up to women in a nice, polite way. Don't go yell at them. But hey, I think you're cute, or oh, you're reading that book. Hey, you want to grab some coffee? You know, you don't have to do some stupid pickup line. You don't have to embarrass yourself. The worst person can say is no, thank you, or no, or they're, pardon the French, but a bitch to you. Uh, Maybe you should also look at how you behave for her to react that way. But some people do act that way. But the more you're exposed, and also it's a numbers game. Like it's the 80-20% rule. Like 80% of people will probably say no, but there's that 20%, right? So I read that in some statistician book. So I don't know if that applies to dating, but once you get used to that no, then it's like, okay, whatever. And you're able to approach the woman you're attracted to a lot easier. If the anxiety is too high, then there's a dating app called Bumble. Have you heard of Bumble?
Yeah, I have. I have. Actually, it's the new Tinder for us in India.
Yeah, it's the thing. Well, there's Bumble, Hinge, and Tinder. Those are the hot things right now.
And like for homosexuals, I think it's Grinder and like something else.
Oh yeah, the Grinder. But I think Grinder is just a Tinder, right? Like,
yeah,
say like hookup. Like, so Tinder in America is like hookup thing. Hinge and Bumble are more for relationships, I guess. At least that's been. I actually met my current girlfriend on Bumble. This girl, she works at USF, so it worked for me. Because I was getting tired of the grocery store sort of. Hey, like pairs too. It's just I wanted to widen my net, but with Bumble, you then like their page, and then they make say, hey, how you doing? I think that'll help a lot of men who are then sort of scared to make that first move to then start a conversation. Now they have to know how to make a conversation work, or just go directly to, hey, you want to go get coffee? Not, hey, you want to go on my boat? I had one of my friends asked that. I'm like, dude, you think she's gonna think you're a murderer, man. You want to come alone with me on my boat in the ocean?
That's the equivalent of some Muslim kid in India asking another Hindu girl, hey, wanna see my fridge?
Yeah. So that's in high school, they still ask one another out, and it's still there. It's different, but I will say those really woke girls don't date anyone. They say they're lesbians and they date each other, but they're not doing the lesbian stuff.
Why
okay?
would somebody wanna be? Why?
To rebel against their parents, and also it's the popular thing to be at this moment. It's so stupid.
The most popular destination of this year.
This this girl in my class is like a blonde cheerleader, and normally she would be like the it girl in the high school, but no, now it's one of those purple haired girls. And she's like talking to me like, I don't have any friends, this or that, and this girl's like beautiful, and I was like, don't worry, you'll be a-okay. Just get through school. Trust me, you'll be okay. Just get to college and you'll be fine.
I mean,
so it's a weird moment.
Yeah. How involved would you say are teachers in enabling kids to make better friends in classroom? Is that still the job of is that responsibility still on the shoulders of teacher when the child is 17, 18 years of age?
Ooh, good question. So it's not on the teachers. It's always in America on the students. But if I see a kid, because this is what some of the mentally ill school shooters were, loners, and I do see a loner every now and then. I go out of my way to talk to him, get to know him, and then I make the seating chart, and then we do collaborative things. I will put him in a group I think he'll get along with. I don't let anyone know this, right? It's all just, oh, by chance you're sitting with him. Oh, weird. And that's worked. So you can manipulate stuff behind the scenes if you think it'll help them. I know other teachers do the opposite to kill any fun in their class, but it kills learning. It really does. Like that's what I found out. Like if kids aren't having fun and into it, then they just daydream.
Yeah, I think
And
kids reciprocate that effort. Like if the kids understand that a particular teacher is putting in effort, I think the kids really reciprocate that effort.
yeah, and that's another weird thing right now because you have to compete with the phone.
That
And
is.
and no, you can beat the phone pretty easily.
I
It's
mean,
just
that's one good thing about Indian schools is that they have completely prohibited the use of smartphones in the school. In colleges, you can use them because by the time you're in college, you're mature enough to understand. But if you're in school, you're like 14, 15 years of age. At that time, it is very good to have some impulse control in place.
that's true in our middle schools, which is sixth to eighth grade, which is like 11 to 13. In high school, they want us integrating them into our like classes, but they don't really train teachers how to do that. I figured it out, and it is useful because if they bring up these quiz apps, then they can't go on the games. So I do that while I sort of teach, and it helps. But you're always going to have that kid that just sits there and does nothing, and then you're left with, okay, do I call them out and embarrass them? It really depends on the kid. Like I'll either talk to them after class, like, hey man, you want to pass or what's the deal? Like if you just want to fail out, then I'm actually sort of fine with you back there, not bothering anyone on your phone, just being a loser. Whatever. This is America. But if you want to achieve something in your life, I give them that sort of speech, the negative than positive speech. Um, and sometimes it backfires. Sometimes there's certain kids, and it's usually always due to their background of different bad experiences where they just don't want to tune in. So,
I
you
mean,
got to try your
so
best.
how often do you find kids who are uh, privileged and ungrateful, and kids that want to replicate that effect, even if they're not as privileged as those kids, but they think that, oh, this guy is doing something very cool, and even though they are not from the same economical stronghold as that privileged guy is, but they want to replicate that actions of that kid because they think it is pretty cool.
So you're asking, how often do I see a kid not from an affluent background try to act like it?
In the negative connotation, like if the privileged kids are acting ungrateful and think that I don't need to study, I have a lot of backup, so I'll rather spend my time in other activities, and then kids think it and idolize that kid, saying, okay, he's cool, he's rebellious, I want to be like him, and they don't
So
understand that lack of privilege.
that's an interesting question because most of the kids that come from wealthy backgrounds actually aren't, they do the work, they're usually grateful. You will occasionally get a kid like that, but I know how to deal with them. The problem is it's usually the poorer kids that have that attitude in America. And it's a lack of hope from their parents. And that's where I do think I come in to say, no, you're not, you can easily get out of the hood. It's not that hard in America. Military, easy way. That's what happened to my father.
Yeah, conscription is there, blue collar jobs is there. I think if you are a plumber or a carpenter in US right now and you are ready to work
Oh,
odd hours, it's cold hard cash dropping.
yeah, I tell them that trade school, welding right now is because we don't have enough laborers in that sector, and they can make good money, but they have to graduate high school because that's just proving that you can
Yeah.
show up and do it, and then an employer would trust you. There is the occasional rich jackass, but they're very insecure usually, and you can mess with them in different ways. So I guess it's rare what you said, and then, but the interesting thing is they're usually despised by the poor kids so much, so they don't try to emulate those kids. They want to beat the kid up and take his money and phone. So that's a real interesting. Does that happen in India where you have a kid like that?
Yeah,
Others
that
try
is
to.
it's very interesting in India actually, because see what happens is if you have like some very privileged kid, the the response he has towards education in general is the same woke liberal nonsense that YouTube teaches us. Is that, oh, education system is bad, teachers are bad. I know what is right for myself, and this education system is at fault. So I'll rather
Oh,
I'll go into dating, and I'll advise others to date, and I'll advise others to consume intoxicating substances, because that is one thing only privileged individuals in India can do, and they are the ones who can live with the repercussions of their actions. And what happens is, if you have these people
yeah.
prominently in the class, then in schools, and especially in colleges, I think most people, when they see these kids in schools, since schools have a much stricter form of discipline than compared to colleges, when these kids come to college, the not so affluent kids who have watched these kids, now they try to replicate that attitude, and in college it is very bad, because those 3 or 4 years of your building age, I think, Dimple, are you there?
Yes.
There's a, I'll not name the kid. So there was a kid in one of my classes, and I generally, Dimple, you're echoing. Could you mute? Thank you. We were having this conversation about random stuff. About, somebody asked me, some kid asked me, bro, what do you do once you get home? So I was saying, I have this internship, then I do this graphics design, then user research, then I look at the word and consume news. Journalism student, I consume news. And he goes up to me and he says, oh, don't you do anything that is nonsense? So what do you mean, don't you do anything that is nonsense? He says, oh, don't you know how to have fun, bro? Like, you should have fun. I'll tell you how to have fun. You should go into dating. And he started showing me profiles of some Instagram people that he followed. And all those people would do is teach him how to pick up girls. And then I think about this guy, and last month this guy came to me asking me, bro, how can I start internships? And I know how you can't start internships like this. This is the level of an Indian teenager, even in the age of 19, 20, 21. At age 21, people are so dumb. Some, not all, but these people are so dumb. They do not understand that they don't have that privilege. They are not the children of Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. One day you're going to enter the corporate world, and the corporate world is brutal.
Oh yeah.
They will not have it, no matter what. If you're Gen Z, if you're already Gen Z is so already they're not liked by millennials, especially in office workforce. Why are you making it harder on yourself? And they try to propagate this idea that I get it, everybody likes having fun, but to what extent, and what are you compromising on behalf of it? Maybe it should not be a compromise. Maybe you should have balanced approach towards your academic and your skillful activities, as well as these things that you consider fun. People try to often impose fun, and they feel pity for the nerds. Like me being the nerd, I feel it the most, that a lot of people look at me in the classroom with a look of, they will either look at me condescendingly or with pity. Oh, this kid doesn't know how to have fun. Let me introduce him to fun. Oh, you know, Malay, you should come to me to this club. I can buy that club. I'll show you my UPI history. I can buy that club. That club pays me interest that you go to. I own stocks in that club. I'll be listing that club on Nasdaq next year while you're busy. Like, do something responsible with your life, man. And I think that they're not privileged. I know that they're not privileged. They pretend that they are.
That's a very good mentality to have. And fun is all perspective. You can have fun in academic things. What did I say? Did I say, yeah, subjective? That's what I meant. So, yeah, so it's all subjective, and you can have fun doing so many different things. And let's say you don't need chemical enhancements. Trust me, I went down that path. I don't drink anymore. Like it's I can't think of it, the metaphor, but it's a false thing. It's, you have fun for this amount of time, but the reason after you drink that you're hungover is technically your body's going through withdrawal.
Yeah.
Because alcohol is one of the quickest acting things, intoxicants, and it's also one of the quickest to leave your body. So it's not just you going, oh, I feel bad, I went too hard last night. No, your body's in withdrawal. You're like a heroin addict, okay? So, and it messes with your liver.
That is again one of the reasons. Like
Not healthy.
I don't tell this to my friends because like my friends think I don't drink because of some sanctity kind of thing. I don't drink because I have a weak liver. I suffered from jaundice. I cannot
Oh,
consume alcohol.
yeah.
I have a liver
Avoid.
condition, but I don't tell it to friends because why share these kind of things with people? So I think people don't really. I'm not saying that you should not have fun. You can have fun, but why is your definition of fun coming from the ideal depiction of fun from Bollywood movies and Instagram celebrities? I, they're not even celebrities. They're just individuals.
Yeah, that problem does exist in
You are
America.
learning how to have fun by watching somebody else who's telling you that they are happy. You have no idea if that person is happy or not. If he was happy, why would he be wasting his money on Dewbogs and Haywards and whatnot? Like, I don't get it.
It's because they didn't have a lot of self introspection and to really figure out what they consider fun. Like to me, I'm having fun right now. I
Yeah,
like doing stuff like
this
this.
is fun.
And it's educational too. So it's like you have to find out who you are and then sort of like do what you like and make that fun. But again, that's hard to do. But the thing is, I think you figure that out as you get older. I think a lot of our modern society sort of lies and says that like, oh, your young years are the best time of your life, and I don't find that true at all. Like my 30s have been the best decade of my life. It's just been so much fun, and because you get respect, you're able to grow into a role that you sort of worked on and built, and you get to enjoy it, and you have freedom
Yeah,
outside. Like it's
I think
and when you're young,
economic freedom is one of the best things that a person can experience, and I think that is what many of these teenagers in India. I think they don't they don't lack economic freedom. It's just that they don't realize how hard their parents have worked for them to have this kind of luxury.
yeah,
They don't realize that, and the first person that they should be like, this is an Indian talking, we respect our parents beyond normal point, I think. So I feel a lot happier every single time I go to a restaurant with my father and I ask the waiter to show me the QR code or like hand over the bill to me. Every time my father has a meal, I am the one who's paying for it, and that makes me so happy and so proud. I love doing that.
it's a good feeling.
Sorry.
Like, well, in America, a trick I like to do is you take like your friends and like your girlfriend out to a nice restaurant, and you give the waiter ahead of time, like you just, oh, I'm going to the restroom. You give them like your card
Hmm.
and say, I got it. And so the bill never comes. And they're like, oh, where's the bill? And you just go, oh, I got it.
I got it.
It's a baller move. And at the same time, it's polite. You're not bragging, and I don't know. It makes me feel good when I do that.
Yeah, precisely.
Um,
Like, even if you're going out to eat, go to the best possible place that you can. Even if you're going out just once a month, especially if you're going
yeah,
out just a month, go to the best possible place. Eat at that place. Like, I love this. Have you heard of Barbecue Nation?
rings a
BBQ.
bell.
Yeah, it
I
is.
know what barbecue is, but
Yeah, it's a buffet of. It's basically a buffet, breakfast, lunch, dinner kind of restaurant, which is like all over India and in different cities, and they have the exact same model, but it is what some people might consider hella expensive. But for somebody like me, if I'm going there just once a week, I think it is worth it. And I go there for the service, for the hospitality, not just for the food. The food is great, obviously. I love going there because of how they treat me. And if I'm taking some of my friends out, or like I'm going with my guardians, I'm going to the best possible place, and I'll
yeah,
be happy to pay for that. I'll not go into a club and spend that money, which is crazy, not worth it, and I'm gonna wake up with headaches the next morning.
yes,
No.
yes. I think you have a very healthy mentality about that because I lived the party life before and it's empty. Well, and the way you're talking about and the way I've sort of done things, it's a lot more fulfilling. People will remember it when
Hmm.
they're drinking, tend not to remember things. But what's the female perspective on this?
Dimples, I think that question belongs to you.
Yeah,
Uh,
For
your
me,
your microphone is covered in the blanket that you're under.
no. I'm just problem. Am I audible?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay. So for me, For me, partying is like it's okay, like to have fun in club, but yeah, the headache thing is totally correct. But I do prefer more clubbing, and but now my perspective have been changed.
So I'm gonna ask a question. Hopefully, it's not too personal. Um, how would you prefer to meet a guy? Arranged marriage or through dating?
I think I prefer first know him, then marry him. Like marriage, marriage is like a great thing, like a big thing. Like we have to spend our whole life with our person. So I first know him, then take things.
Okay. How common is arranged marriage over there? I'm just wondering. Like, is that like forced on y'all, or do you have a choice? Because I really have no idea.
I think in India, like in as a girl, I face like my mother has said, "Ki you are 21, you have to get married by 21 or by 20." It's now by 25, and I have my elder sister. She's 25, and then my relatives tell her to when to get married, and like such question asked by them. So which is kind of feel like why, like we have life. let 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 me decide when to do it, when to not. You have it.
I think I lost your audio there. You there now? I think I lost your audio.
Yeah, I think some kind of trouble in this.
No worries, no
It's all
worries.
right. But thank you for your response. That was very informative because I've always thought about arranged marriage and if that culture somehow was in America, what would happen. And it used to be in the old South before the Civil War had that,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like called arranged marriage, but it's where the rich planners would basically decide who got married. Um, but you know, because there's reality TV shows over here about arranged marriages between American Indians, not American Indians in America, because in American Indians, Native
Yeah,
American.
I think if arranged
Um,
marriages were to exist in US, they would create much more racial differences, and that would prevent children from white and mixed mixed parents. That is one opportunity which America would miss a lot on if that
that's
was the case.
that's a great point. I didn't think about that because yes, there would be no intermixing. You're
And I
absolutely
think
right.
after a few generations,
Right.
after a few generations, children would be engaging in borderline incest knowingly or unknowingly, because there is a limited number of gene pool that you can have when you're not mixing DNA. I mean, like, it would be
That is true. Like the more intermixed the gene, like
the gene
the
pool is,
more,
the better immunity the people have against viruses and diseases.
yeah.
I think that could be.
Um, it's just I think it would help some people out in America that have trouble,
I
right?
think
That's the
we would not have the incels.
yeah, like I really have my heart goes out to them because I can it's a trap and they don't know how to get out of it and they
They are
can.
consoling themselves at this point. That's what they're
Well,
doing.
they become like a hermit. And there's a thing in Japan that's like it where they have some name for it, but it's where basically they live in their room their whole life and their mom takes care of them. And I mean, it's fine to live with your parents. It's not that. It's being the hermit that's good for you. Um,
I
so
think
that's what I'm
Japan
fearful
has
of.
enabled that kind of culture through its rampant production of prostitution, as well as anime, as well as these unreal depictions of females, and this unreal portrayal of females in some of these comic books and media material where shows like Rent a Girlfriend, these kind of animes are trending and are made popular, in which these guys are sympathized to a lot of degree.
It's called Rent a Boyfriend.
Rent a Girlfriend, that is the name of the show.
Oh
It's
my god.
it's a show and it is available worldwide, and it is such a, it's a terrible. I haven't watched the entire show. I just watched a few episodes, and I got bored. I was disgusted by the guy. I do not like the male protagonist being represented this way. I'm not able to project onto him. I'm not able to associate with the main characters. Are you saying this is what I look like when I'm single? No, hell no. I'm not watching it. It is a miserable depiction. Like, and the show writers try to justify his actions, and they try to gain some kind of sympathy from the audience. As somebody who has worked his life to get academic achievements, to get grades, to be good at sports, to be good at conversations, to be good at language, to be good with how to uh, mix and interact with the opposite gender, I feel ashamed. Like, okay, you're sympathizing with that guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's a spit in the face for all the hard work that every single other person on this planet has put into.
Wow, that's toxic. Yeah, we live in strange times, but I'm sure people 100 years ago thought the same thing. You know,
I mean, things have changed a lot in the past 3-4 years. I think the past 3-4 years have witnessed change more than the last 1 decade, probably because of how internet culture
I
has
agree.
evolved and
Yes.
tweaked things. And I think internet has enabled every single person to find a community and log themselves in a bubble. And now we are seeing the repercussions of it when people are not ready to have, not ready, not willing to accept even the most minor of differences among societies.
So one thing I'm seeing is that's definitely true in America, the bubbles, but in the real society, those bubbles are very rarely
Hmm.
wanting to act that same way. Now, obviously, the Super Trump fans will act the same way in society. But outside of that, you really can't tell who's part of what bubble. There's still a social culture that's there. Um, I guess my worry is if those bubbles leave that internet and
Yeah, yeah.
really pervade society, that wouldn't be good.
That's very interesting what you mentioned. I think I'm seeing this too, but I'm seeing this as an entire 360 reverse, because earlier people would judge you on your physical appearance, your clothing, your skin color, your language, your state, and your physical tangent, the non-internet things. And when the internet came over, people started to leave all that, the caste system, the skin color, the the language behind. And when people moved to online, this was one of the reasons I joined online gaming, because in online gaming, that is a true meritocracy. As long as you play good and you enter a random lobby with random teammates, as long as you play good, you will be treated nicely. They don't care what your name is, your real name. You have your internet profiles. Nobody uses their real name. Hardly anyone does that. So you have your
Mm-hmm.
username, you have your avatar, you can modify your images, you can have any flag next to your avatar. Only merit will be the basis on which you'll be judged and talked in a certain way. And on the internet, people could have pretended to be anything. But now, as we are seeing this change on people putting their genders, their pronouns on their social media platforms, and as people are becoming more and more active on their social media, people are rejecting the social media side of things, and they are appreciating the real world image. Because when you meet somebody in social media, they're completely different. They're very good at text, but when you sit next to them, they can't hold a conversation for 5 minutes. And that change has come where people are quitting social media altogether to encourage more uh, real life interactions with other human beings. So it's a full 360.
I'm starting to see that happen too over here, and I think that's a good thing. It's because if you sit around and judge yourself based off of others, and like everyone presents their best life, on social media, they do the pictures and make it seem, oh, I'm here having so much fun. In reality, behind that picture, they could be fighting with their boyfriend or girlfriend and being miserable. So it's all fake. And I just think it's important to try to remember that so you don't get caught in that trap.
Mm.
Because there is some positives of social media. It's just, I don't know. I think we should teach a class about it, and we don't.
Yeah, I think
Like,
this was the exact topic on which I got the award for. Like the topic was use of technology in journalism and current media. This
oh, really?
exactly, the use of technology in journalism and current media. And I had a very nuanced perspective on this, and very uh, like I quoted Hitler in in that essay. But because see, in India it is very cool. Like I've seen Indian kids refer to other Indian kids as the N word, and it was a completely fine interaction because like we both are Indians and like we love the American gang culture and the entire pop slangs and everything. So we copy that without thinking of what it actually means and what it represents. We don't think of that word representing anything to slavery. We just use it casually
Yeah.
amongst our conversations. So I think India borrows that a lot from the West, and with that, I felt very confident claiming, quoting Hitler, because Indians love Hitler. Indians love all right-wing leaders, and I quoted a dialogue
Why
between.
is
I don't
that the
know.
Aryan thing?
Not really. I think Hitler helped. Primarily, he was against the British, so aligned interests.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And secondly, he helped one of our freedom fighters, Subhash Chandra Bose. So Subhash Chandra Bose was one of our freedom fighters, and Hitler helped him with some marines and some military personnel and some funding and stuff while he was making an army to fight against the British. Not to mention, India has never officially supported Israel as a country. Like we do love them, we do support them in other ways. We have never officially supported Israel. We've always stood with the rights of the Palestinians because we face a similar situation in Kashmir. Because Israel was not, it's not a legal country. It's technically on occupied land, and so if we support Israel on occupied land, then we might lose some ground in Kashmir. So it's a diplomatic standpoint where India takes on official scale. I think the love for Hitler is somewhat resembling the love for authority and the hatred for Jews, or hatred for
And
minority. Hatred for minority. I think that's what we have here.
yeah. Obviously, you probably heard about Kanye and his, so that still exists in America. Anti-Semitism does. It's just this scapegoating people for, this thing's going wrong for me. It must be the Jews. um, but they have nothing to do with it. It's just, but he's having, talk about mental illness. He's having like a manic breakdown live in
I
person.
thought this would happen to Will Smith, but it is happening to Kanye West.
And that's why I'm like, I call this the year of the reckoning. Is you get to see all these celebrities that people worship, just their real face comes out, and they're not these great, epic, perfect people. They're mentally ill, talking about Hitler, and
Yeah, we had like I think this is what I was talking about when I said it has been chaotic in India in past few couple of months, is because we have seen our government fight Bollywood and our media fight Bollywood and Bollywood fight the government. In the past
oh
few months,
wow,
it has been so hectic with Bollywood celebrities committing suicide and involved in drug smuggling and consumption and possession with intent to distribute narcotics, and so many arrests, and so much has happened with regards to how Indians view the entertainment industry. I think the cancel culture has arrived in India, and we have named it boycott culture, and Indians have started boycotting every single thing.
drug culture, wow.
Yeah,
Uh,
India recently uncovered that Bollywood is infested with drugs. Infested with drugs. More than 90% of drugs that enters India is consumed in just one city, that city being Mumbai, the home for Bollywood.
yeah, I mean, you can say that's probably true about Hollywood, but the suicides too. So the suicides are like cops when they get caught.
Uh, Not only when they are caught, it's the pressure, I think.
Oh,
It's kind
yeah.
of similar to what Linkin Park and Avicii faced, sort of like that. But Indian celebrities don't get even an iota of respect when compared to deaths of Avicii. Like Avicii's death is respected. Every single concert pays a tribute to Avicii. Even the lead singer of Linkin Park, I'm missing his name, but when he committed suicide, everybody
Nice.
respected him and left his family alone. When an Indian celebrity commits suicide, the media comes at you hard with every single angle, talking to your girlfriends, talking to your ex-girlfriends, revealing your WhatsApp chats to the entire nation on live television, uh, combing
Wow.
through your bank accounts, witch hunting, like going after your ex-girlfriend, blaming her for the suicide of the actor, and like revealing their what's happens just to the entire nation. It's disgusting that the media is
Yeah.
doing it, but it is more disturbing that the people actually want it to happen.
Mm.
It's vicious.
Yeah, America can be like that to a certain degree, but if you chase the life of celebrity, it's not always glamorous, right?
Yeah, like if you wanted the clout so bad, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And so this is where two evils are fighting, and you can't objectively say that what is happening to them is right. I do feel sympathetic towards them, but I don't for an for a single millisecond think that what they are doing is legal. They are consuming narcotics, which is 100% illegal, and we all know, with respect to India, with respect to the reports of the Vohra Committee and independent researchers, that where there is drug money, there is terrorism. Drug money and terrorism have a very, very, very strong connection. They don't they don't exist
Yeah,
independently.
yeah. Yeah, those same problems sort of exist in America. It's just in a different vein. It's not terrorism. It's the cartels in Mexico who are then connected to China. But it's sad, but at the same time, it's personal choices. But so what do you have planned coming up for the New Year? Is it New Year over there too?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have New Year.
Okay.
I mean, I'm thinking of restarting gym, perhaps.
Okay. That's
Last
healthy. That's good.
Yeah,
Good
last
for the
time
mind.
I tried for 2 months. Unfortunately, after that, I could not find the time to, because like I had to do a lot of graphics and work, and since uh, like it's going to be a new year for me as a company, and so we'll be doing a lot more work with graphics, a lot of work with user research, and definitely a lot more writing articles based on productivity and how to get work done, basically.
Good, man. Yeah, keep writing. That's awesome, man.
So what
Just
is the plan for the school? How's the school celebrating Christmas and New Year?
so so we have 2 weeks off. Um, we went right up till Christmas, so we stopped school on the 22nd. So we don't have to go back till the 8th. For New Year's, I'm just gonna take my girlfriend down to the St. Petersburg Pier, and they do a big fireworks show, and we're gonna watch it. And then on New Year's Day, I might go to the Buccaneers game. It's NFL football. Um, so that's Tom Brady's last game, maybe. I don't
Oh,
know. Playoffs. So it'll be cool to see. And then just sort of relax, read. I might travel around Florida a bit. There's a town in Florida called Casadega where
okay.
it's nothing but psychics that live there and mediums, apparently. Um, so I might go visit there just because it's weird.
Yeah,
Uh,
how are the travel restrictions given with the BF17 new variant outbreak? What is the situation looking like? Do you think it's going to be another lockdown?
well, in Florida, COVID doesn't exist. So, um,
It's a hoax.
um, in America, because of some of the lies that were told and overreactions and how it just wasn't handled in a trustworthy fashion, right? Like you just sort of had to be here to see some of this stuff. And I'm not like saying it's a joke. It's not. It's very serious. I just don't see Florida, definitely not. But other parts of the country, we probably, except for California, they might do the shutdown thing. But we'll probably just let it burn through. I hate to say it like that, but just let it go through. And hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not horrific. Like how is it? Like is it over in India right now?
Situation is looking dire in India right now. We are currently looking at statistics. We are analyzing people. The security checks have been increased. The mask mandate is on. We have the government mandated mask rule when you're outside, and since we are a border state, and since cross-border activities have increased between India and China, a lot of troops are stationed at the border right now. We had a minor scuffle, I think 3-4 days prior to this. Tensions are high in India as of now.
Yeah, China is going to be very, very sick with how they handled things, letting it in. So I didn't even think about how close you were to China and how that might affect things. Well, I
especially
hope you're
given,
safe.
yeah, the new strand BF17, it is spreading very quickly. Like they had, I think, 300 million cases in 3-4 days. It's crazy.
Wow. Hopefully it's lighter. I mean, it does seem if you have if you've had it before,
Hmm.
that there's something called cross natural immunity that says if you are immune to one virus, one variant, you should have some.
Immunity.
So hopefully it's not as devastating.
Hmm.
But we can only control so much, you know. But the travel restrictions, they don't exist in the United States. You're allowed, like at the very beginning of the pandemic they did, but after now you can go where you want. Like, and within Florida, yeah, you know, if
Yeah.
you are wearing a mask, people look at you weird in this state. That's how Wild West it is in Florida right now. Like, it's almost a macho thing, if that makes any sense.
Like a rule
Wearing
breaker.
a mask. Yeah. So like women wear masks and that's okay. But if you're a man, the social pressure is there not to wear one.
Social,
It's interesting.
social pressure. Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
it's great that being an Indian, being an American, we can decide our New Year plans and whatnot. And at the same time, the people who oppressed the Americans and the Indians, the Europeans, they are in for a hard winter. They messed with the wrong country at the wrong
Yeah.
time. They,
Yeah.
they they're gonna have a
They
tough
are
winter.
um and they've had it very, very good for like I'm not trying to be mean, but very, very good for a very long time because they didn't have to pay for their own defense
Hmm.
because of the Cold War. And then they were able to invest their capital into having very good benefits. Well, with the Trumpism is you have to pay your way, and so now they have to readjust. They had to readjust, their benefit structure, which means there's less money for all that stuff, and and the gas prices. And I really feel bad for what Europe is going to go through.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, the kind of excitement that Indians had for Rishi Sunak, that went away really quickly once they realized what it meant for the entire continent. Like finally, after 300 years of colonization and 100 years of independence, finally an Indian is a prime minister of UK. So
yeah, yeah,
how you like me now?
yeah. Right. That's good. He has a hell of a job in front of him, but
Oh, he
hopefully,
he's in for a tough time. I
so
mean,
maybe it's that. Like, oh, we're in trouble. All right.
okay, let's see what worked for us last time.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, so Europe's in trouble. But well, I mean, we'll see what happens. Anytime things seem really dire, something always sort of comes around to mitigate it to be not
yeah,
as
like
bad.
I think the perception about the Russia-Ukraine war is also changing, and I think uh, global powers are now actually realizing that this war should not have lasted this long. It has lasted long enough. It is high time for diplomatic conversations to begin on both
Yeah,
sides.
yes.
Uh,
And
no Christian country wants blood on their hands during Christmas and New Year.
yeah, um, only thing I'm sort of concerned about is our military industrial complex here in America. They like this war because they're making a lot of
Uh,
money. And I'm just concerned that if peace negotiations come around, they'll lobby against them. But that will then see the integrity of some politicians
yeah, I mean,
because
also as an Indian, India is taking a lot of heat recently for staying neutral because, like, in the times of oppression, if you are neutral, you are on the side of the oppressor, and I get that. I understand 100% why India's neutrality is harming Europe's interest. But as a nation, we have to also look at our interest. Russia was our buddy. Russia still is our buddy. They were the ones who helped us in 1971 when
yeah,
the UK and the US Navy were at our border coming to fight us. And Russia has always been on our side. So we kind of are doing it diplomatically. On the other hand, I don't personally feel sympathy towards the Ukrainian people, mainly because you are an elected democracy. You, as the people of Ukraine, you removed uh, Viktor Yanukovych from power, and then you, as a democracy, you had the job to select competent leaders. You chose a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything against the Zelensky administration. I think they're doing a great job for what they're doing, but they're comedians. They're not
Yeah,
diplomats.
Ukraine is such a complex situation, and I actually have two Russian students because the area I live in is St. Petersburg, which it's Russian immigrants, and it's very interesting hearing perspectives from both sides, and it's basically a civil war. That's what I've sort of realized. Just that, like, everyone's like, "Oh, it's two nations." I'm like,
Are
kind
they
of a civil
really?
war. I mean, I know there's the two different types of people, but it's very personal, and there's a lot of grievances on both sides. And I don't even know if Russia made the first move, which was bad, but Ukraine, if you can go back and see video from 2018 of Ukraine basically saying, we know this war is going to happen in the 2020s, and how it's their independence war.
Yeah.
It's what they.
Also, in the context of Ukraine, they really overstepped their boundaries. Like in India, we have an idiom, that a proverb that goes, "Don't spread your legs so wide as they go out of the blanket. Keep your legs inside the blanket." Russia really overstepped. Sorry, Ukraine
Yeah,
really overstepped that blanket.
and they have to be very careful getting into depending on us, because we will support you in the military effort, but
That,
we
like, I don't call that support. I call that a loan. Let's call it what it is. It's a loan.
we are notorious for that.
Yeah.
We are notorious for, oh yeah, we'll help you. Then when it's done, saying, all right, well, we're going to take this. So you got to deal with that. You got to do this. Like, it's
Ukraine
a
has a
double.
lot of wheat. I think the global food reserve has been disturbed a lot, and the only countries that have enough food for their people are India and China right now, and US, of course,
Yeah,
because US has a lot of land.
yeah. We have
India
a
has a lot
Mississippi.
of rice, wheat, and India has banned the exports of wheat and rice.
Yeah, I think this next year we're going to see famine. Unfortunately, that's
It's
not in like not where you said, but like in other places
I think
because of
Africa is going to have to wait for some of a lot of aid actually, if China does not step up. I think China has a big opportunity here because they have been stockpiling their food for a lot of time. If they are able to resolve their issues, they might overstep in Africa and try to offer alternative aid.
that would be a smart move on their part. I'd be surprised if they did. But then again, I have my American bias, so maybe they will. Um, so, well, I hope you have a great new year, man. I need to
Yes,
get
same
going.
to you, same to you. Yeah, just 1 second. I want to show you a very quick video. If
Yeah.
you, I'm not wasting your time or anything.
No, no, no.
I just wanted to show this small clip of this cheating incidents.
Welcome back. After the infamous Bihar cheating scam last year, students in Rohtas were again caught cheating away to glory as teachers cared two hoots, as you will see, and looked the other way. A shameful incident which has led again to the question about the education system in Bihar and if it has even slightly improved. You're going to be embarrassed when you see these pictures. Take a look.
Bihar's clueless arts topper who couldn't answer basic questions.
यह नया सब्जेक्ट हम सुनने क्या चीज
खाना बनाने के बारे में
And a science topper who didn't know what the periodic table was.
मोस्ट रिएक्टिव एलिमेंट पीरियोडिक टेबल में कौन सा है
Just 3 days after dismal board exam results, graduation students in Bihar's Rohtas were caught cheating during an exam as unfazed invigilators looked away. A grim reality of the deplorable condition of Bihar's education system. Remember, last year, students in Bihar crossed all limits and even scaled school walls.
Look at this. These are windows.
This is just a cheat.
Yeah, in exams, school exams.
Oh, so what are these exams? Are these like getting to college?
No, these are class 12th exams, high school exams.
Oh wow!
This is
I mean,
crazy.
do they get an A for effort for climbing a wall to go cheat? I would be impressed if my students cared that much. You climbing at each other to.
Like, if you care that much about the exam, just study.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for showing. Oh, I'm going to show my students that. That's wild. That's awesome. I mean, it's not good, but it's just so
Just
interesting.
just type on YouTube cheating in Bihar or like exam cheating in India, and you'll see dozens of clips of people using smart ways to cheat in exams.
And I guess like, what do you do as a teacher? But I guess you just break out your stick, right? But I mean, well, they're letting that happen. If that's happening like that, they're straight up letting that happen, and that's interesting why they would do that.
Yeah, and I think this one particular clip, that's the last clip. Then I'll let you go and also go to sleep. Do you have time or like?
No, I have time. I have time. It's just the morning, or it's
Okay.
actually 1:30. I'm good.
Just one last clip. I think it's an Instagram clip. I'll just show you right now. So, what is the general conversation between a student and a teacher like when it comes to humor? Like, are there some topics which are completely off limit in the US?
There's some. It's just if it's really, really obscene or something like that that could hurt someone else's feelings. That's what I shy away from. But I like to keep it open classroom. You know, if someone says a real bad joke, I'll just say, "Hey, man, come on." I don't. You know, it's pretty easygoing.
Okay, like in India, I think unless the teacher is the one starting it, it becomes very like students hardly initiate any humorous conversation with the teachers.
So is that okay? It depends on the teacher in America. Some teachers you can't do that with. It just all depends on the personality of the person in America.
I mean, the thing is, India is that like I said, teachers can beat the students a lot. So I think there's that fear, and even in college we've seen students getting beat up really bad.
In college?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, here's
man.
the clip. Here's the clip. Okay, I'll just share my screen. Share this tab. Just listen to this.
Then I'll
Is this visible? Is this Instagram clip visible?
Yep.
love you, ma'am.
I'll let it play in the beginning. Okay, here's the clip.
Yeah, please go on with your questions.
Ma'am, are you married?
No, I'm not married.
Then I love you, ma'am.
This is the level of confidence that online classes have given to students. This kid would have been beaten to death if this was an offline class. I mean, it's great to see this kind of confidence in students, but it is only available in online classes.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, in America, if you pull something like that, they do something called a referral, which is a piece of paper. Then you're sent to the principal, and they call your parents. So you're not getting beaten, but you will give yourself some trouble. But that's interesting. Yeah, how I guess online learning has given kids some confidence. So, all right, well, Malay,
Happy New Year to you,
good
sir.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Let's talk again. I always say that, and then I go get busy.
No, it's
But let's
completely
talk,
understandable.
and good luck with your writing.
Thank you so much, sir. Good luck with your teaching, and please keep doing the great work that you're doing as a student. I would love to have a teacher like you.
I appreciate that, man. And it's always good talking to you. I always learn something. So I will talk to you in the future, and I hope both of y'all have a great new year.
Thank you so much, sir. You too. Have fun.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Let me just stop the recording.